hello to everyone who has just joined us. My name is Taylor, and I am the account director at Stokes Herzog Marketing and Consulting in Eau Claire. We help Brenda and everyone at the Realtors Association of Western Wisconsin with all of their marketing and social media and graphics and all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm so excited to be able to talk with you all today about specific tips and tricks and things you guys should know as realtors for using social media. So here's what we'll talk about today. As realtors, you all are, I'm sure, told all the time to be using social media to get your listings out there, get buyers, get sellers, all of those things. So we'll kind of narrow it down today to talk about specifically Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And we'll talk specifically about 3 different types of posts. Organic posts, ones that are not paid and are just living on your business page. Boosted posts, which are ones that are paid to be boosted or sponsored to more people than the people that follow your page. And then also sponsored posts, which are similar to boosted in that they're paid, but there's a little more nuance and a little more customization you can do than just a boosted post. So we'll be talking about Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and these types of posts, and also some of the rules that go along with posting and advertising as realtors and members of the association. So what are things you need to consider when you're considering adding a social media platform to your marketing strategy, or you're considering improving on or updating or anything when it comes to social media? Well, you need to consider where your target audience is. Where do they spend their time? What type of social media user are they? So with the 3 platforms we'll talk about today, with Facebook, almost everyone is on Facebook if they're on a social media platform. They have 2.41 billion monthly active users. So if someone is going to be on social media, they're most likely on Facebook. You may hear things about how the younger generations aren't on Facebook as much anymore, and it might not be their first choice, but most of them are still there from the research that I found. Instagram, the demographics skew a little younger and skew a little more female. So 67% of their users are age 18 to 29. This is great for first-time home buyer kind of demo, and also as that generation continues to age, they'll continue to use Instagram most likely, as it's still a popular platform with them. And LinkedIn is where professionals are looking for other professional advice. It's the second most popular platform among B2B or business to business after Facebook. So Facebook is the most popular overall, regardless of who we're talking about, but LinkedIn is the second most popular among people who are looking for business to business. So LinkedIn's where people are going to be looking for advice for their business, advice in a more professional sense. And then you also need to consider what the rules are. So we'll go through the state laws for Wisconsin and the NAR Code of Ethics here in a little bit, specifically about rules that apply to advertising. But there are also non-discrimination policies that need to be considered when it comes to rules. Specifically for Facebook, they do not allow you to pay for an ad, so do one of those boosted or sponsored posts that I mentioned that only reaches certain ages and genders. So just like non-discrimination policies there are in all different kinds of parts of your industry, Facebook specifically does not allow you to pay to target different ages and genders and exclude anybody. So these are all things you need to consider as you are working on your posts and working on your strategy. So we'll dive a little deeper into some of these things coming up here. So we talked about state laws. So what does the state of Wisconsin say about advertising in general? So according to the state statutes, a firm and any licensees associated with the firm may not advertise a property unless they are the listing firm or they have obtained consent to advertise a property from the listing firm. So you cannot advertise unless your firm is the one who is the listing firm for the property, and you cannot begin advertising until the actual start date of the contract, no time before. So as you are working with buyers or sellers and you're seeing a listing coming up, you have to make sure to keep these things in mind before posting about it. And then when you do make your posts about it, according to the state of Wisconsin, this is kind of the overarching theme for both the state and the national rules. Nothing false, deceptive, or misleading. So keeping everything truthful. And they go a little bit deeper into clarifying some specifics, like clear disclosure of the name of the licensee and the firm has to be clear and conspicuous in all advertising, which includes social media posts. I know sometimes social media posts aren't always first thing you think of advertising because you're not paying for them. They're just posting on your page for free, but it still is a form of advertising. And the advertised price in all of your posts must be agreed upon with the owner, and it also may be stated as a range if it still reflects the agreed upon price. So those are the main things from the state of Wisconsin. Here's what the NAR says. Again, honest and truthful and present a true picture. Overarching theme for all of it. Your status as a real estate professional is readily apparent. You can only use the term free under specific circumstances, and they give a whole list in their full code of ethics. It's Article 12 if you want to go and look it up after this. Special offers, incentives, and prizes need to be clear. Just reading some of the questions. So the term special offers, incentives, and prizes need to be clear, and Facebook also has specific rules when it comes to offers, incentives, and prizes. So if you're doing a giveaway on your page, Facebook has their own specific rules that you need to make sure you follow as well, including that you can't ask people to share or tag friends in giveaways. So that's something that you might see a lot on social media, but something that's actually not allowed. And if Facebook were to find out about it, they could take your page down. So those are all specific nuances that can be discussed further too. But overall, making sure that offers are clear and everything is stated clearly of how the rules will work. And if you're the owner of the for sale property, you must disclose the ownership status. Here's the giveaways and prizes, having clear, thorough, advanced understandings of all terms and conditions of the offer. So making sure it's very clear. I don't know if you guys have been following some of the news lately. There was a giveaway that was on social media where the rules were not clear and the company got sued because it wasn't clear that not everyone who entered would be receiving the prize. It was only certain people would, and I didn't make that clear. So may seem small and may seem like something that couldn't happen in Western Wisconsin, but just making sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's is always your best bet. Do not offer for sale, lease, or advertise property without authority. Again, that goes back to having the listing contract signed and only advertising after the start date, and making sure that you have everything clear and agreed upon with your client. And then must disclose the name of the firm in a reasonable and readily apparent manner, either in the advertisement or in a link with all the required disclosures. So a lot of the things from the state and from the National Association really do overlap, but it's good to just know that where these rules are coming from. And just a good reminder of what you can and can't do and shouldn't do. So then this is the last one from the National Association. Only the realtors who participated in the transaction can claim to have sold the property. And you can only post a sold sign only with the consent of the listing broker if you are the cooperating broker. So just good reminders as we talk about social media strategy. So then general rules, like I said, there are certain ones from Facebook. There's also ones just general rules of using photos and using videos. So using photos from the internet, if you're going to be posting it on a business social media page, only use photos from royalty-free sites or actual real photos. So you aren't able to just go on Google and search for a for sale sign, for instance, and share it on your Facebook page. You need to use photos from royalty-free sites. I listed 3 here: Pexels, Pixabay, and Unsplash. So these are just great resources for you where all the photos on there are available to use in commercial purposes. Talk about not using photos from Google. If you include the source, then you should be okay, but it's really better to use the royalty-free sites or using real photos of the property. But if you are using real photos, making sure that you have both the photographer and homeowner permission on all photos before you share them. And if you're sharing someone else's listing following the rules that we mentioned earlier, be sure to have both the broker and photographer's permission before you share it. So all of that was, making sure that you're following all the rules and ethics standards that are required and that you should. But what are the circumstances when you're going to need those, need to apply those rules? It's when you're writing your different posts for the different platforms. So here are just some general type of post content ideas that you could, as you're thinking about what to post on your social media pages, you can consider posting one, any, multiple of these. I'll get into the specifics for which posts are better for which platforms here in a little bit when I break down each of the different platforms. But this is just an overview of the type of post. Obviously, you guys are in real estate. We're going to talk about listings and sales. That seems like the most obvious one for your type of industry, but these are other things that your target demographic may be looking for, like behind the scenes photos or videos, sharing your good news, good things that happen. I know sometimes it's hard to want to toot your own horn, or it might feel like bragging, but if you don't toot your own horn, no one else will. So sharing your good news. Telling a story. This could be a story about one of your buyers or sellers. It could be a story about something that you did in the community. It could be any number of things, but giving the customers a little bit more insight into who you are or who your business is going to go a long way. How you solve your customers' pain points is really important to potential buyers and sellers. I'll speak as I go through these from my own point of view. I am in the 18 to 29-year-old demo like we talked about for Instagram, and my partner and I are looking at buying our first home. So when we're looking at who do we want to hire as our realtor, or what kind of listings we want to look at, as we look at their websites, at their social media pages, those who show us that they can solve our pain points of we're unsure where to even start at this point. We're brand new homeowners. We've never done this before. Those who, we know it seems like we can trust them. It seems like they can solve our problems. They're going to walk us through the process. Though that's the type of thing we're going to be looking for on their social media pages. Not that just having listings on there isn't enough, but it will set someone apart if they have, how they're unique and how they solve their customers' pain points, very apparent. And then sharing what makes you unique, like I mentioned. So now we'll dive into specifically Facebook. So what types of things should you post on Facebook? Posts that encourage conversation with your audience is also going to go a long way. So asking, for your audience's feedback or having them answer a question, all those things are important, because it used to be a few years ago when I was first working professionally that every time that you posted something on Facebook, it went to the top of people's news feeds in a chronological order, and everyone who followed you saw every post that you made. Well, people were, posting multiple times a day and clogging up people's feeds, and Facebook said, that's not how we're going to do it anymore. It's going to be in an algorithm. So the Facebook algorithm is how they determine what posts are at the top of people's feeds and what posts are shared with your followers and in what order. So posts that get likes, comments, shares, reactions, all of that good stuff are getting clicks. All of those things tell Facebook that your posts are liked by your audience and that they should be shown to more people. So like I said, when I was first starting in this field professionally, we were posting every day for clients, making sure that they had new content every day, because that meant that their posts would be shown to their followers each and every day. Well, now with the new algorithm, if you post every day and they don't get a lot of likes and comments, Facebook's going to think, this page doesn't have very great content. People aren't really liking it. So we're not going to put it toward the top. We'll put it toward the bottom. We'll get to it eventually if they keep scrolling. So what we encourage instead is to write a couple really good posts that are going to encourage conversation and garner those likes, and only post a couple times a week with that really good content. So any posts that you have that you think will encourage conversation are great. Like I mentioned, telling your story so your audience knows what sets you apart. They also want to know you as a person rather than you as a business, especially in your type of industry where you are working one-on-one with other people in your community. They want to know who you are, not necessarily who this business is that they're seeing through the screen. Showing authenticity, that goes hand in hand with what I just mentioned. People want to know who you are, what they're going to get when they work with you in an authentic way. Posts that are visually engaging are important on all platforms that we talk about today, because you know you only have a second before someone's finger keeps swiping on their Facebook app. So you want to make sure that your posts are stand out and they look visually appealing each and every time. And then showing behind the scenes. This goes right along with what I said about people wanting to know who you are, and they feel like they know you a little more. They're more likely to work with you because they feel like they already know you, because I saw behind the scenes of your business. We'll talk a little bit now about the different types of posts, like I mentioned. Organic posts are posts that live on your page. So when someone were to search for your real estate company on Facebook and click onto your page, all of your organic posts live there. They scroll back and see them in chronological order. When you post something on your page, it is free. It reaches people who like your page, their networks, if they comment, like, and share. So what that means is it will reach people who like your page if they're on Facebook, in the time relatively, recently after you post it. And then I'm sure you've seen, if you are on Facebook, that you'll see things in your feed that say your friend likes this, and it's a post from a page that you might not follow. But Facebook has said, hey, enough people are liking and commenting on this that I wonder if their friends will like it too. So if that is another reason why encouraging conversation with your audience is important on those posts, so that it reaches even more people than the people who already like your page. So these are the two different types of paid posts that we mentioned, the boost or the sponsored ad. The boost is something that you may see on Facebook if you have a business page that Facebook tries to encourage you to try, because it is a low dollar amount to boost a post. So it's kind of an easy way in for you to kind of dabble in the area of paying for reaching more people on Facebook. A boost shares a post from your page. So it takes an organic post that lives on your page and boosts it and shares it with more people than like your page. So you're paying for it to be sponsored, but it's just for a certain amount of time and a certain general location. Those are the only two options that as realtors you would have the opportunity to specify. So, maybe for 5 days or a week or 2 weeks, and then a general location, 5 miles around Eau Claire, 10 miles around Hayward, whatever it might be. Usually Facebook also allows you to specify, certain ages or genders. But again, like I mentioned, with the different non-discrimination policies Facebook has in place, you aren't able to specify age or gender as a realtor, just to fall in line with non-discrimination policies for housing opportunities. So a boost you can do, $10, $20, $50, and you can reach more people that don't like your page. So this is something, you have a post that you think has a wide appeal, that you want to reach more people, low barrier to entry, there's not a lot of customization that has to be done, and you can reach more people. The difference between this and an ad, you might hear someone talk about Facebook ads, and these are sponsored posts that don't live on your page. So if you see something on Facebook that's sponsored, it might be a boost or it might be one of these ads. So if you were to go to that person's Facebook page, you might not see that ad that you saw on your feed, because the sponsored posts, they don't live on your page. They're completely separate. There are more placement and customization options than boosts. Again, with your industry, you still cannot select ages or genders, but there are more options where you can also put them on Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram. You can also put them out into, when people are reading articles from Facebook, your ads can appear within those articles. So there are more customization options with an ad. They are going to cost a little bit more money. They're on an auction system, that's how Facebook does it. So people who pay more are going to get more frequency on Facebook than people who pay less. And so these ads are going to cost a little bit more than the boost, but you have the opportunity to reach people in more ways than just the boosted post. Another great thing about Facebook owning Instagram is that if you're like, I'm not sure that my target demographic is on Instagram, I don't know if I want to start an Instagram page just yet, I don't know that I have the time and resources to do so, I think just dabbling with placing your Facebook ad onto Instagram allows you to have a presence there, see if you get some clicks or some engagement over there, and then it would just send people back to your Facebook page rather than having to have an Instagram account. One of my social media golden rules is don't try to be everywhere. you know how much time that you have to devote to social media each week, each day. Only be where it makes the most sense and do that one really well, rather than having Facebook pages or Instagram pages or whatever it might be out there in the world that are outdated that people could still come across. Whenever I give these presentations to a wide audience, I'll talk about how when I first moved to Eau Claire, I went to school here and then I decided to stay here and work. And I didn't have a dentist or a person to fix my car or any of these types of services that you're used to accustomed to. And I went and looked at all their Facebook pages when I was deciding if I wanted to go with them. I heard something good about them. What are their posts like? What are their philosophies like? And if I came across a page that hadn't been updated in 2012, I wondered, did this place go out of business? It hasn't posted in a couple of years. What's going on here? So having pages out there that are outdated can almost do more harm than good. So making sure that if you only have time for one social media account, I would recommend Facebook, just because you are going to reach the most people there. And if you maybe after that, if you have some time and you're like, I could add Instagram in, I'm doing good on Facebook, that might be the way to go, rather than just making all of these social media pages and then not attending to all of them on a regular basis. So speaking of Instagram, moving in that direction, there are really 3 places that you can post on Instagram. There are posts that live on what they call your grid. So when someone goes on Instagram and they go to your page, they'll see all your photos tiled in what looks like a grid. These are the posts that live forever, similar to the regular organic Facebook posts I mentioned before. These are the ones that appear in people's feeds while they're scrolling, very familiar to, or very similar, and probably feels familiar. Posts that live on your, or videos that live on your page can only be 60 seconds. So that's important when we talk about some of the other items below. Instagram stories are posts that live for 24 hours. Facebook also has stories. They're just not quite as popular as Instagram ones are, so I don't talk about them as often as I talk about Instagram stories. These posts only live for 24 hours, so they're great for when you have something happening today that you want to show someone that won't necessarily make sense, like 6 months from now when someone comes across your Instagram page for the first time. These stories live at the top of people's feeds when they log onto Instagram. There are little circles at the top with your profile picture in them, and someone has to click on them to watch them. So the posts that go in the feed, those just people are just scrolling and your posts just come up automatically. Someone actually has to click on your story to watch it, but that means that they're more engaged if they're choosing to click on it sometimes, rather than just having it in the feed and it just comes up for them automatically. And then IGTV, Instagram TV. This is where you can post longer form videos than the 60 seconds. These also live forever. They live on just a different place on your page than your grid does with all your posts. But this is a place where you have some videos that are longer than 60 seconds. You can still post them on Instagram. They just live in a different place than the regular posts. So what types of things should you share on Instagram? Posts on Instagram have to be photos or videos. You can't share just text. That's important to know as you're deciding, should you make an Instagram page? Do you have enough photos and videos to last for a while, and you have to use them every single time you post on this platform? Posts also have to be shared from a handheld device. You can't post them from a computer. So if you have an iPad or a smartphone that takes great photos and you're able to use easily to share to Instagram, that's great. But if you do all of your posting from a computer, this might not be the one for you. You should obviously share posts that are visually appealing. This is a reminder from the Facebook one, but posts on Instagrams are generally more pretty because they appeal to that more female, younger demographic, like I mentioned. Again, not that there aren't guys who post their prize fish or deer photo on Instagram, just like on Facebook, but the wide majority of photos on Instagram are more that pretty demographic. So keeping that in mind as you're deciding what post to go there. And then showing your personality. Instagram users want a more personal experience than being sold to all the time. Research has shown, and just our own anecdotal evidence here at our firm, that people on Instagram are quicker to unfollow than they are on Facebook. So if you're selling too much, people may unfollow you quicker than they do on Facebook. So keeping that in mind as you're writing your Instagram post, people want to know who you are. They want to see your personality. Moving on to LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a little interesting or a little different because it's more of that professional feel, like I mentioned. So your posts on LinkedIn should be intriguing to other professionals. This doesn't have to be just professionals in your field. It's a great place to connect with professionals in your field and discuss, current trends and kind of talk with each other and network, which is great, especially in your type of a field, to network with others, but also with just professional people who are working in a professional field in general. You think of your professional services, business owners, doctors, lawyers, business professional services like marketing agencies. All of these type of office job employees are often on LinkedIn. So that's one of the demographics you're trying to reach. This might be a great place to reach them. They're looking on LinkedIn for education. They're looking to learn something. It's not the place that they're posting their vacation photos like it is on Facebook. They're on there looking to learn more about anything and everything, oftentimes things in their field, but they're just open to learning in general. This is also a great place to share your business/industry news. So this is where, again, tooting your own horn, no one else will. So sharing the good news from your business, as well as just sharing your take on what's happening in your industry. So people are looking for experts on LinkedIn as well. So if you are consistently sharing relevant information that is applicable to anyone who's looking to learn more about what's happening in your field, you can become the expert by sharing that consistent content, and people will look to you to learn when they're worried about something or concerned about something, or just want to know what's happening now. So if you can become that person, your audience will begin to trust you, and then when they're looking for a realtor or broker or a firm, they'll know who to call. Let's overview for the 3 platforms individually. Here are just some tips and tricks for all platforms when you're creating your content. So video tends to reach more people and performs better than still photos. It's overall on all the platforms. The research shows that, I think I read a stat recently that by, 2025, like 80% of all content is probably going to be video online. But I might have the year wrong, but I know the 80% of content will be video is the estimate right now. People are loving video. Everyone has the smartphone in their pocket that can take video, so they're used to it now. They're used to seeing it. But what's important is it needs to be interesting at the very beginning to draw people in to want to watch your whole video. You can have great content, but if it takes 10 seconds for you to actually get to the meat of what you're talking about, you may have already lost them. Or if the beginning has a really long intro that doesn't grab them, they may move on. So another important thing when you think about video, and I may talk about this later, so we'll check when we get to those bullets, is that they need to make sense with the sound off, because people are watching on their phones and they're scrolling, and until someone clicks on that video, they won't actually hear what you're saying. So interesting things at the beginning to draw people in with sound on or sound off. And then making sure to upload all of your videos directly to the platform that you're uploading them to and then you're sharing them on, instead of sharing a link from YouTube or Vimeo or one of the other video hosting platforms. This tends to get better reach and engagement because the platforms want you to use their tools. They don't want you to be spending time on YouTube. For instance, if you're on Facebook, they want you to spend time on Facebook. So they're going to reward you and show you to more people and put you higher in people's news feeds if you're using their platform and upload the video directly. And if you are on your Facebook page for your business, at the very top there should be where you can schedule posts and things like that. There's a button that says Insights. If you click on there, you can see what types of posts do best on your page. And often links do, a lot of times links and shares are kind of like lower than photos and videos. And so if you're sharing a link from YouTube, even though it is a video, Facebook still considers it a link. So it doesn't do quite as well as uploading the video directly. Photos, when you're choosing your photos, bright, airy photos perform better than dark ones. They just pop on people's phones. It looks more appealing. So Adobe Lightroom is a free app you can download on your phone to edit photos. So you can brighten them up a little bit. Most smartphones have, options to edit photos right in their Photos app, but Adobe Lightroom has some presets and it's really easy to use. So that's a great option to brighten up those photos before uploading them. Canva is a free app, and you can also do it online where you can add words to photos. You can also make those cute graphics that are all text. They have tons of templates. There are paid versions where you get some more options, but it's free to use, and you can make beautiful social media posts that are going to grab people's attention. Those are some free resources and options to give your posts a leg up. And I'll just talk a little bit here specifically about videos. So again, I talked about having your best stuff up front. You only have about a second to grab people's attention. And then also, like I said, remember that it has to make sense with the sound off. Right now, less of us are waiting in waiting rooms because of the world that we're currently living in. But if you can imagine sitting in a waiting room, waiting for your appointment, and you're scrolling on Facebook, and you see a video that looks interesting, but you don't want to click on it because you don't want your sound to turn on and annoy everyone else in the waiting room. So you want to make sure that your videos either have the closed captions on, which Facebook does give that option so people can read and follow along with you, or they have text on screen, or they just make sense up front. If it's, a home tour, the audio is great if someone has the option to listen to it, but you don't need the audio to make sense of what a home tour is. People can watch that without having to worry about listening to what's happening. Staying relevant. Keeping your videos only to the important things is really important. I know it's easy to get talking and go out on a tangent and whatever it might be, but if people aren't, if people are only watching your videos for a second and then closing out, that's also something that, these platforms that work on an algorithm and they're only showing the best content up top to show to the most people. You want to make sure that people are watching your videos for longer than 1 second. So Facebook knows or LinkedIn knows that this is a worthy video to be showed to more people. So keeping your videos on point, onto only the important things will help people watch more of your videos and stay engaged. If it's not relevant, people can lose interest and they're moving on to the next thing in their feeds. Talked about being interesting with the sound off. Again, this doesn't have to be that you have the closed captions. It's just if your stuff at the beginning, if it's a slideshow, if it's a video, whatever it might be, grabs people's attention and makes sense and is a beautiful home photo or showing a nice kitchen, whatever it is, as long as it can make sense with the sound off and it's interesting, that's all you need to consider. And then going live. Going live on Facebook and Instagram is something I'm sure you've seen if you're on those platforms. It can be a little intimidating. So I know, thinking, oh my gosh, it's live. People are going to see it. What if I mess up? What if I say something I don't mean? All of that is a little intimidating. But like I mentioned with uploading videos directly, Facebook rewards you when you use their tools. Facebook Live is their tool. They want more people to use it. So not only does it put you higher in people's feeds when you're live, it also gives your followers a little notification that says your real estate company is live now. So it's just another way for people to be reminded of you and who you are and that you're posting content regularly that they're interested in. Another great thing about live is you can do it live, and then if you decide that you don't like it or that you wish you hadn't said something, you can delete it you can delete it and it doesn't post to your page. So only people that saw it live may have seen it. Or on the flip side, if it was really great, you can save it to your phone and you can use it on Instagram or a different platform, or it just saves right to your Facebook feed and more people can see it. So yes, going live can be a little intimidating, but also I think it's a great way to reach more people than you would with just a regular post that you might do of a photo or something like that, if it can get your message across the same way you were looking to with that photo. Those are the general tips and tricks for posting on any of the social media platforms that I mentioned. I know there are others out there like Twitter and Tumblr and TikTok and all that fun stuff. I save today's presentation just for Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, because I think those are the three applicable in Western Wisconsin that are going to reach your target demographics and that are going to have the most people. If you look at stats, that's where most people are spending their time. So there are other platforms out there that you can use, but I think the three that I'd mentioned today are your best bets for reaching people in your target demographic. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or in the Q&A. I'll be staying on here for a little while answering them live, so you can stay and listen. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day and that you learned a lot. I've had questions about sharing the slides. I'll talk to Brenda about that after today and to just make sure that that's all good, and she'll let you guys know. I have everyone who signed up's information, so I can get them out to you if that's okay with her. Again, thank you all for coming today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to learn a little bit more.